Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about needle movers in your business. Now, if you're thinking, I hate hearing this, I hate hearing this advice, like find the needle movers in your business, identify the needle movers in your business, and hearing this topic maybe makes you want to um, shut this off. I want you to listen because we're going to be talking about needle movers in a way that isn't talked about typically. So, we're going to define what needle movers are in your business, and then we're going to go through and identify how you can find those needle movers. We're not just talking about, I'm not going to just talk to you about needle movers in general. I want to say how specifically in your business how you can identify those needle movers because for each business it's going to be different, and it's going to depend on the industry, your business type, your leadership status, like what you value as a company, and really what services you're offering. That's what it's going to come down to is what are causing my team the biggest what's the biggest problem for my team right now. So if you don't know what a needle mover is, or if you aren't familiar with the term, maybe you're new to business, maybe you just haven't heard the term before, but the needle movers are um, taking action that has a significant impact on something. So typically, this is also called the 80-20 rule or Pareto's law, if you or principle. So some things about the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, if you haven't heard it in that way as well, is that 20%, I don't want to mess this up, I'm saying it, that roughly 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes. Now, to apply that to your business is 20% of what you do or accomplish will create 80% of your impact. So, to identify those tasks in your business, you're not going to be able to do it overnight. There is going to be some trial and error that has to happen on your part in your business. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how to identify um, using the 80-20 rule. So, what can we do to help make us more productive? Because everyone overthinks productivity. I see it happen in businesses and teams that I've worked in so many times that people overthink productivity. I'm a culprit of doing it, but then I catch myself and remember instead of thinking about everything I have to do, just start picking the most important, the most impactful of what I'm going to be doing for my business. And typically, if you're a service-based business owner, it is going to be client work. Client work is going to be your biggest needle mover. It's what's getting you paid. It's what is going to keep your clients happy. It's going to help retain those clients. So client work and delegating that client work if you are at the point of having a small team. So if you are more in the manager role right now in your business, it's making sure everybody knows what they're doing to service that client. And if you're saying, I don't know, I don't have that view, or like I don't have insight into this, then that is your biggest problem right now is that you need to get visibility on tasks that are being des- delegated and get a clue on what open deliverables and open tasks are happening for each client. So, what is going to make them happy, getting them their feedback. A lot of times, you can do this with simple tools like ClickUp, Asana, um, ta- going back into project management tools. So, identifying that you need to service your clients, what tasks need to happen for each client. And then once also you get some visibility into that, it's going to help you with capacity planning. And that's just a topic for a different video. But um, it is also going to help your team focus on what needs to be done. And you can assign value to certain tasks. Like a good example of this is a very concrete example of this is something that my husband deals with on the daily basis is when they're planning out contracting work or they're remodeling a home, they have a list of items that need to happen on a work order. Now you're saying, Emma, that's not as simple for my business. Well, it can be if you set the work order in your service service-based business. You set what the deliverables are, you set what your offer is. And that goes back to the Simple Ops framework of standardizing your offer and standardizing what those deliverables are going to be. It's very clear. And you define internally what needs to happen to provide that service. And like I said, getting it into a project management tool is going to help give you that visibility for your team. And if you're applying time estimates to that, if you are applying dependencies to that, you're going to get better results. But we're going to start slow and just saying, okay, what client work is going to get me paid? So usually, like going back to the contractor example, he has dollar values matched to the milestones of the business or like the work order. So like flooring might be, I'm obviously not going to say correct numbers here because I don't know his work orders and I don't know them off the top of my head, but flooring could be say 5,000 and electrical I know is way more, so 12,000. So he's going to prioritize the higher dollar values, but then comes into play what has to be done before the other, what can be done in parallel and what can be done, what tasks are potentially blocking other tasks. So what order do you need to complete those steps to make work efficiently, to make work efficient, is what I meant to say. So in your service-based business, how you can apply that is you have your offers, you have all your deliverables that you're marketing to your clients, and then internally you have your set of to-dos, your checklist, your questions that you need to ask your client to help get that information to achieve your um, deliverable. And then you can identify how long you think that's going to take you. And then you will be able to plan out your client work. But then you're like, oh, I have other stuff. I have my own business. I have admin I have to do. I have marketing. I have sales. How do I prioritize that? So marketing and sales would go hand in hand. And if you can get it down to an hour a day, you can, and identifying the most effective ways for you to market and sell with your team. And this again goes back to trial and error of, do you know who your ideal client is? Do you know who you're marketing to? Who is going to best and benefit from the offer that you have? So standardizing that offer, standardizing your deliverables, knowing who you're selling to, those all come back into play, and doing some of that thought work before you get into this is going to help you identify these needle movers even better so that you can say, okay, every day I need to spend 5 hours on client work. That leaves me an hour for marketing. Or you can say, I'm going to batch marketing and do it on one day. That's what I do because I find it way more efficient with my time. So I plan to do my marketing plan later in the week because by that time, my client work is completely wrapped up pretty much. So I spend longer chunks of time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on my client work. And then I prioritize based on the client steps. And then I save an hour for sales conversations, just following up with people in my pipeline, following up with people who I've talked to previously. And by keeping that in a list or in my CRM, it makes it a lot easier. So I can do that in an hour's worth of time. And then you could have an hour to respond to emails for admin. So those admin things are not going to move your needle forward as much, but they do need to happen so you don't let it build up to the point of being overwhelming. So if we do things in little chunks of time, it is going to help, but we're going to spend a lot more of our time on client work. Usually if you have a little more of client load, and maybe say an hour is checking in with team and checking in on statuses of your project. If you are still like a solopreneur and you don't have a project manager or an OBM doing that for you already, instead you could just be checking in with the OBM or the project manager. And it also depends on how you set your business up, because if you're more in that CEO role instead of the operator role, you're going to be checking in with people more and making sure that you're really focusing on sales and marketing. So you need to find that balancing act as you're growing your business to be able to handle the client work and market and sell your business, in the sense that you can accomplish a big amount of sales and marketing tasks in a shorter amount of time than typically you can achieve client work. And then I also chunk, if you're like, well, how do I fit in my CEO time? I always chunk a big amount of that to happen on usually the same day I do marketing, because I'm already in that high level thought process flow. So doing your CEO level tasks does help when you batch it instead of doing it in those little chunks. But you also have to identify what works best for you and your schedule. And, maybe Mondays make more sense. I do mine on Fridays, but I know that by the end of the week that I need that high level time and it makes me feel recharged. Where client work really kind of drains me, even though I love doing it, it's a lot of nitty gritty detail. And by the end of the week, I'm ready for like that flow and to be creative and to sort out my ideas and things of that nature. Um, but if you can tie tasks back to the money, I don't want it to be all tied back to money, but those are going to help you give your best needle movers. Identifying those of what's going to help you close a sale, what's going to help you close the highest sale, what's going to help get you paid on time. Um, Things of those nature are going to generally give you the biggest momentum. And also in that sense with marketing, what opportunities can you do that aren't just one-to-one marketing opportunities, but are going to help you on a bigger, more impactful scale. So for me, I know podcast guesting is more impactful for me than social media because I've gotten more leads from it. Because I spent months tracking my leads before I made these decisions. So I did test the data. I did trial and error of things that did not work. Um, so now I know that like guest coaching, guest collaborations, guest trainings, those in podcasting, those give me the biggest return on my investment of time wise and converting to leads than social media. So I try to keep my social media time down to a minimum and focus on, okay, who can I thoughtfully, strategically collaborate with and add value to in their group or their network, and not focusing so much on my social media because I also have handed that off to my assistant and they kind of take ownership and leadership of that. And we come together and collaborate for that. So those are just some examples in my own businesses, some examples I've done for client businesses. If you're struggling with identifying needle movers in your business or saying, hey, I don't know how to set up these trial and error, like I don't even know what to begin or how to begin figuring out like different options for me to try out. I'd love to help you. And if you want to chat, I would be happy to talk with you in a 30-minute call. I have that linked in the description below. And if you have questions, feel free to leave comments down below as well, because I can answer and will answer those if you leave them. So here's another behind the scenes episode. Thanks for joining in today. We will be having a episode next week with a guest. So it'll be a pre-recorded episode going live next week. And it's going to be actually about, it's going to be for Thrive Over Survive. And then in the new year, we are going to take a content break for a little bit um, as we go forward in our marketing plan and our, going back to our mission at Elf Operations. The goal is to impact as many lives as possible and help women thrive in life, not just survive. So we're really going to be leaning into our Thrive Over Survive motto that is going to be the guiding principle, so to speak, in everything that we do. So we're going to be revamping some of the episodes and the structure here so that we can be more intentional with the content being put out. Behind the scenes will still continue to happen. I don't know if these will be continue to stay live. But you will see more content from us in the new year, and we are going to be doing a lot more collaborations. If you want to be featured on an episode or want to share your expertise, head on over to my website and there's a guest form that you can fill out. I think that's linked below as well. So I will talk to you guys later.